I shall share with you some reflections on the document of Pope Francis on care for our common home, Laudato Si. The title of this document is taken from a hymn of Saint Francis of Assisi. He himself was a great lover of nature, and nature would respond to him. Wild animals would feel that here was someone who was friendly to them, and they felt at home with him. They felt safe with him. Even a wild wolf would walk with him. Francis composed this hymn in 1224. That is almost 800 years ago. And yet, this hymn is an echo of the earth and people who dwell in it and who feel for the earth. Because the earth, our mother, our common mother, is facing a tremendous oppression. Unfortunately, at our hands, her own children are up in arms against her. And not only Pope Francis, but even international leaders are concerned. In fact, very recently, there was a meeting sponsored by the UN to get heads of nations to agree on cutting down greenhouse emission. 4 major countries, US, Russia, China and India, refused to agree, because they say if we do not use fossil fuel, the primary source of greenhouse gases, then our economy will suffer. Well, one could discuss that claim, but let me assure you, it is not easy to argue with politicians. The document is very simple. You can read it the way you read a newspaper, and like a newspaper, it does not give you a systematic presentation. No doubt there is a structure, but some themes keep on appearing in different contexts, different chapters. That is bound to happen, because life is not a mechanical process. Life is not like a computer where every part is complete by itself. It operates in connection with the others. But in life, every part, even for it to exist, has to be in connection with the others. Only when it is in touch with the other living organisms, it can continue to live. Now, let me begin by sharing with you how I understand ecology. In fact, Pope Francis has one chapter titled Integral Ecology. I shall start in a way from that chapter. partly because my presentation will in some way be more than what the Pope is saying. When the Pope is speaking of integral ecology, he is thinking more in terms of action needed to save our planet. And that action has to be the integrated effort of different parts of our human family, of different sectors, political, economic, religious, and so on. So, in that sense, it has to be an integrated effort. But when I speak of integral ecology, I am thinking in a historical perspective, going back. At the beginning of creation, let us say after the Big Bang, what was there? Scientists tell us that there was a soup, a plasma, a fluid, if you like, substance, whatever you call it, in which matter was not yet differentiated. Slowly, subnuclear particles get formed, and then slowly we have electrons, neutrons, and protons. And the wonderful thing is, these three elements, maybe the number 3 is significant, but these three elements come together and give us all the elements we have, the gases, the minerals, and so on. But each element has these three particles, electrons, neutrons, protons, as part of atoms, and these atoms, though made up of the basic elements proton, electron, neutron, the configuration is different. If you like, the three particles come in a network of relations, and each element, be it helium, be it hydrogen, be it iron, be it silver, each element has its peculiar configuration of of atoms made up of neutrons, protons, and electrons. Every atom has a peculiar configuration. So, the emergence of the matter with which you and I are familiar today is the product of a network of relations. Slowly, the elements come together and we have molecules of compounds, chemical compounds. For example, water. Water is the coming together of hydrogen and oxygen. Now, these compounds, they constitute the stuff of the earth before life emerged. Slowly, these compounds give rise to more and more complicated compounds, and we have very complex what we call organic compounds. Once again, the principle is the same. The basic constituents are more or less the same. The configuration is different. For example, ethane and methane are carbon compounds. Methane has one atom of carbon and 4 of hydrogen. Ethane has 2 atoms of carbon and 6 of hydrogen. The basic elements are the same, ethane and hydrogen and carbon, but the combination is different. It is the combination that makes different compounds, different gases, etc. Slowly, this complexification of compounds keeps on intensifying, and we have the emergence of highly complex compounds, and we reach a point where life becomes possible. And the first unicellular microbiological organism emerges. And then this unicellular organism slowly becomes more and more complex, and bigger forms of life emerge. And with the complexification of life, there is also diversification, and eventually humans emerge. Now, with the emergence of humans, the process becomes highly special. There is, if you like, a quantum leap. Till this point, the living organisms, though they were in relation with each other, they were not conscious of their being related. The tree depended on the water, on the soil. The birds of the sky depended on the trees for their fruits, for the seeds which they consumed. The animals in the forests were dependent on smaller animals for their food. They hunted them, they killed them, but they were not aware of they and we, I and you. They were not aware. With the emergence of humans, this specific feature becomes possible. Humans can recognize relations, they can affirm relations, and they can deepen relations. So, for example, I come from my mother. I know slowly that she is my mother. And as I grow, I talk to her. I try to understand her, and she tries to understand me. Our relation of love and concern gets deeper and deeper. So, this is the specific, shall I say, feature of humans. They live in conscious relationship with others. Depending on how they use their freedom, they could build happy relations, make others happy, themselves become happy, or they could destroy relations. They can make the lives of other people miserable. They can hurt themselves. The secret is maintaining healthy relations. So, you see that relations are part of our life, and to maintain healthy relations is essential for us to be happy, to be healthy. Healthy not only in body, but also in mind and heart. Healthy relations make us healthy individuals, healthy families. And as I grow up, my relations also widen. I become aware of my siblings, of my relatives, my uncles and aunties, my grandparents. I become aware of our neighbors. The society becomes my family, my extended family. And similarly, after some time, I become aware that nature, the trees, the birds who sing, the butterflies who dance, and the animals who run after each other playfully are also part of my family. You will not believe, sometimes when going for a walk in a garden, if I see squirrels, I will make a sound imitating them. They will stop. They will turn. If they are running away from me, when they hear me, they will turn and pause for a while, as if a friend is calling them. We can, like Francis of Assisi, become friendly with the animals of the forest. They are our sisters and brothers. Now, this understanding of ecology, is it a chance reality, the product of an accident, the consequence of a big bang? Well, one consequence of the big bang is that our universe is expanding, which means that day by day we are going further and further away. Our galaxy is going further away from other galaxies. Our universe is expanding. It is in a way the opposite of relations. In relations, we come closer to each other, but our universe is expanding. However, though the universe is expanding, the network of relations continues. One simple example. Some years back, we were talking about gravitational waves. Something happened in the universe and there was a ripple effect. Suppose you put a paper boat in a pond and you gently drop a pebble in the pond. The boat will feel the ripple and it will move a little as if shaken by the ripple. Well, fortunately, the source of that gravitational wave is millions and millions of years away from us. Had that source of gravitational wave been closer, what would happen? Our earth would go in for a somersault and possibly it would be thrown out of its orbit and life would be lost. So, though we felt the gravitational wave, fortunately no harm was done. Things seem to be beautifully arranged. A network of harmonious relations. So, the question remains, is experience of life as a network of relations, is it merely a matter of chance, or is there a deeper design shall I say, a deeper mystery. And it is here that we must fall back on our Christian faith. As Christians, we believe that God is a mystery of communion. The Christian God is not a isolated, lonely figure, lost in eternal contemplation. No, the Christian God is not that. The Christian God is a family. Three persons whom we call Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. It's interesting that the divine mystery God is a network of relations. And in this network of relations, each center of relations, the Father, the Son, and Holy Spirit, are real and different. And it is precisely because they are different that they are what they are. And they make the mystery of the Trinity beautiful. And that is what love is all about. Love is the acknowledgement that you are different from me. One. Second, I cherish this difference. I appreciate this difference. Third, I want you to continue being different from me, because only then you can enrich my life. If out of a false notion of love, I want you to be totally like me, you will not be of much help to me. I will not grow and you will not grow. But if we are different, we can help each other. We can complement each other. We can go deeper in our discovery of our common humanity. You have some part of humanity, I have some part. Only when we come together in love, supporting each other to be different, we can complement each other, we can enrich each other. Therefore, ecology, dear friends, is not merely a concern for nature in the form of trees, plants, birds, fish, animals, the terrain of the earth. That is one part of ecology. There is the human ecology, the society, the family, and if you like, there is the family, the ecology, the divine ecology, that is the ground of all relations. Because our God is a God of relations, our life becomes a life of relations. And the ability to discover, cherish, nurture relations is the specific function of consciousness. When the Bible tells us that God made humans unto his image and likeness, what is the Bible saying? The Bible is saying that God is a community, relations, and humans are made in God's image because they are called to be a community, to live in relations, and thereby, and that is important, by living in community, in communion, in love, we proclaim God. We proclaim God. Jesus said that if you love one another, people will know that you are my disciples. Ecology is the affirmation of the primacy of love. Love within God, love between God and humans, love between humans and the whole of God's creation. And when humans love the whole of God's creation, they carry the whole of creation back to God.